Boundaries. After all, it's all about boundaries. I think it's really crucial and important that we let everybody know out there today who's listening that you really have to set the tone. You have to set the tone for how you want to be treated. You have to have your non negotiables. So today's episode is This Destroys Your Verbal Boundaries If You Do It. I'm Mario Leone. Welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. And don't forget to click the Podbean link below to go to the Patreon so you can actually grow with this channel, because that's what it's all about. So if you ever notice how sometimes when you're actually setting boundaries with people, some people will just ignore what you say or even laugh it off. It's pretty wild, and sometimes it's very obnoxious on the other side. You say the words, you think you're very clear, and all of a sudden, all of your limits go to hell in a handbasket real fast. And honestly, it's important for you to know it's not the boundary itself. It was, indeed, your delivery. Tonality makes up a good portion of our communication, and that's a statistic that changes every year. So boundaries aren't just some random fact that you decide to recite and spit at people. That's not the case. That's not at all. They are wrapped up in the way that you actually say them. You can think of it as a gift, and it's your wrapping paper. Your tone of voice is your wrapping paper, and you're going to make sure you give them that gift with very strong paper. So if something is absolutely off, it'll be like you're saying, well, I'd like this to happen, but if it's inconvenient, whatever, okay, it becomes really, really wishy-washy. Even if your words are correct, your tone will literally pull the carpet right out from underneath your actual authority and being in your authority. Everybody's been there. You always got one person. You got one person, maybe a coworker, and say, hey, I'd love to, call you later. I'd love to call you. And you say, don't call me after 9. And you say, ha ha ha, I need some sleep. And you laugh it off. So now what happens is they will keep calling. They are going to break that 9 p.m. rule. They're going to call you after 9. They're going to call you after whatever time you tell them. They're going to keep calling because your boundary sounded like a joke. It sounded like a suggestion. And maybe you were wishy-washy in the delivery. That's where it gets very ugly at that point in time. Because it is the delivery. It is the gift wrapping. You have to consider that. So we've all been there. It's not a good feeling. But they're going to keep breaking that rule if it sounds like a suggestion. Or maybe it's with family. You tell your sibling, stop borrowing my stuff without asking. Seriously. And then you laugh it off. Ha 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 ha. But the delivery is so weak in nature. It becomes so wishy-washy, they will just cut right through it. And if you laugh, even if it's a nervous laugh or a nervous smile, you are sending a message. It is not landing. It is not happening. Because it's not just about being nice or avoiding conflict or avoiding drama. We almost default to boundaries that sound kind. So you catch yourself giggling or over-explaining when you really need to be more direct. But you won't be more direct because you feel that being direct is being rude. So instead, what do? You comfort your little suggestion with a little bit of laughter right after that. Big problem. Danger, Will Robinson. Absolutely, okay? As a movie reference for those of you that didn't see it. But, it might feel like it's the move in the moment, but later on you're going to realize, and now you're going to go back even more angry later and say, what did I say? Was I clear? And they'll laugh it off. They don't care if you were, at that point suggesting. Like you were suggesting. They're going to steamroll right over that suggestion. Maybe if I repeat it this time, somehow they'll get it. But repeating it is not the solution. So you might ask yourself, you might self-doubt, like, was I clear? It's not whether you were clear, it's how did you say it? What was the gift wrapping on that? The real issue that's here, it's all about how much authority your tone projects to them. So when you set a boundary, your voice sounds all apologetic and playful or light, people will pick up on that. That will become a little social cue that they will steamroll right over. They will go right over it. You have to make it clear. It's not just clarity, it's also the authority behind your tone. That is how it's going down. So you don't want to give them this little package in this nice wrapping, you need to say, here's the package. This is it. You don't want to give a bendable rule because it's going to feel less like a rule and more of a joke. It's something that they will just steamroll right over. Their brain will say, oh, this is up for negotiation. No problem. I'm going to move right over this shit. I'm going to steamroll right over that. That's the pattern. That is a psychological pattern right there. People that are very insecure, they'll try to cushion it. So when someone hears your boundary, they will test it. And they will say, is this firm? Is it flexible? Can I push back? Can I steamroll over them? If your tone isn't rock solid, the answer to them will sound like yes to them. And they will test that out. And they'll basically say, maybe I could just slip past it this time and get away with it. And the more you reinforce your boundary with an unsure tone, a low confident tone, the more you do that, maybe if you say it again, but even nicer, you feel like they're going to respect you. But the more people start to believe that it's an actual limit, it's not final to them, and they will steamroll right over that. That's how your boundaries are totally going to hell in a handbasket, through tonality and authority. And they will look for that. They will look for that little tiny point that they can needle into it. And you know what? If you don't say it with authority the first time, you're going to have big blow-ups later. You're saving yourself conflict later on when you say it with authority now. Now you're going to get angry later, which probably was a waste of energy. You could have just said it in the beginning. So people will learn. They will learn how you want to be treated. If you relax all of your standards, they will push harder. And if they push enough, they will feel that they will get away with it. And that's how your authority goes downhill. So honestly, if you want your boundary to really stand strong, your tone cannot be up for some negotiation or some kind of debate. Say what you mean what you say, and be very calm and very direct. Not angry, not emotional, just direct and authoritative. It's not comfortable. Who said it was? If it was easy, everybody would do it. But you do need to match your tone to your level of seriousness to get someone to understand that this is a hard limit. People will respond to what they think you'll tolerate, and they will steamroll over it because it's not about what you say. If your tone is somewhat slippery or ambiguous, your boundary becomes a fun little option for them. And you end up sending the wrong message. You send the message of, well, I'll let this slide if you insist. But if you're clear and direct and your pattern is very consistent, and people will start to understand the line that you have drawn at that point. And there's going to be moments where you're going to have to leave the room or leave the location. If they continue to break it, there has to be a consequence. You have to exit at some point. You need to exit their life, exit the location. One of the two. Very important to know. So the bottom line is you are losing your boundary because laughing while setting limits makes people take you less seriously. That's what I'm going to say. Have a great day. Don't forget to click the Podbean link below so you yourself can actually go to our Patreon and we can grow together. Take care. Have a good day.